So a couple summers after I graduated from college, I spent the summer, had the very difficult job of going to Yellowstone Park for the summer. I worked with a student group at the time and had the opportunity to be there for the summer. And one of the coolest things we found in Yellowstone is Lake Yellowstone, the Yellowstone River, and the world's largest population of native cutthroat trout. At least it was at the time. Some stuff have happened since then that kind of changed that. But at the time, discovered trout fishing, and I hate the fact that this was before I learned to love fly fishing, but we were novices, all right? We were fishing with lures, with spinner rods, but we learned this that the specific lure, if we put some pennies in it and weight it down, we could chuck this thing from the shore of the lake far out into almost right at the mouth of the river. And catching cutthroat trout, it was great. We had just an incredible time that summer. One day, my buddy Andy and I, we were roommates in college, best man at my wedding. We decided to go down and do some fishing in the morning. So, standing on the shore of the lake, all of a sudden, my last lure that I had got hung up on the bottom of the lake on a rock or whatever, and I'm trying to get this thing kind of loose without breaking it and losing because it's the last lure that we had, right? Suddenly, Andy, who's a few yards down from me, goes, Rob, moose. I'm like, what? I look down the shoreline, and there's a cow moose about 100 yards away, maybe 50 yards away. And this moose is kind of just walking along, doing the moose walk, down the side of the lake, has a calf with her. Okay, so mama moose and calf. Andy's like, dude, we got to get out of here. So he reels in. I'm like, bro, I am on the bottom of the lake. So I'm trying to get this thing off. Andy grabs his stuff, walks towards the edge of the forest, kind of gets out of the way from the moose. The thing you need to know about moose have big eyeballs. They've got really bad eyesight, but their eyes are on the side of their head. They do not see really well. They're easily spooked. They are very strong, and they could trample you to death, okay? So the thing about Yellowstone, they're called Turons, okay? Every year there's stories about people get killed by wildlife, people setting their kid on the back of a bison or an elk or something like that, and just bad things happen. Well, I had heard these stories, but I'm Rob Stout. I'm not going to get hurt by a moose. So I am trying to get this line off the bottom. I didn't want the moose, if I laid the rod down, to trample the rod, break the rod. I didn't want to lose the lure. So I'm standing there, and I'm in a dilemma because I look to my left, and the moose is getting closer, man. I mean, little closer, and out of my right ear, I hear Andy yell at me. He goes, dude, don't just stand there, move. So I'm standing there, and I literally froze. Okay, I just froze. I had so many choices here. I didn't want to break my line. I didn't want to lay the rod down, and I just kind of froze. And right at that moment, the calf starts running kind of towards me. The moose starts charging me. This mama moose is about 10 yards away, okay? Suddenly, the calf runs off into the woods. The mom chases it. Andy, who is kind of my Jiminy Cricket friend, dude, here's the advice you need to hear, comes walking back out and is like, what are you doing, man? Don't just stand there. Move. Move. Do something. Man, why did I just stand there? Why did I just stand there and could have gotten trampled by a moose? Could have been in the Yellowstone Times, knucklehead gets trampled by moose, chooses to save rod instead of run away. Not real sure. But the thing I do know is that frequently in life, I find myself faced with moose-sized dilemmas, moose-sized confrontations in my life, moose-sized hard knocks that I'm facing, and I don't know what to do, and so I freeze. Wonder how many of you are in that situation where you're facing something in your life and you don't know what to do. You're sitting there and something is coming towards you. You know there's a confrontation out here that's coming. You may have other people yelling in your ear, move, do something. And yet you don't do anything. You don't know what to do. You choose to do nothing. That's what we're jumping into today, man. And I want to welcome you to The Next Stage. It's a podcast designed just for you, for your personal growth and development, and what we call around here summiting life's climb. Really, the life is an adventure. It's like a mountain climb. It's a journey, and we're here to help you, our whole staff, working together, putting things together for you to be a resource on the next stage to help you summit life's climb. And we're in the middle of a series. This is the third episode in the series called The School of Hard Knocks. And it's all about what things hit your life, the hard knocks that hit your life, and what we do with them. The first episode, episode 7, I would encourage you to go back and listen to this, episode 7, is all about recognizing that something hard in your life is something that happens to you so that something can happen in you, so that something can happen through you. Last episode we looked at, it was episode 8, and it was all about, gosh, when the hardest hard knocks of life hit you, look around, jump in with other men, but look around for someone to reach out to. And secondly, jump in with other men who are in this situation. And finally, look up. I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. I confess, yours truly, Rob, got a little Jordan Peterson in that one, a lot, actually. There was some stories in there that were deeply tender. And I'd encourage you to go back and experience that. But today, episode 9, we're jumping into what do you do when things hit your life. You're walking through them. You understand what they're doing. You're walking through some of the hardest things in life and what you do. But I want to ask the question: when moose-sized challenges, moose-sized hard knocks hit your life, what do you do? What are some things that you can do very practically? You know, you find yourself asking the question, do I go right? Do I go left? How do I navigate this? What do I do? What's a risk for me if I do nothing, right? So that's where we're heading today. And here's the thing, just like every episode, we start with you. You are really, I don't know if you've recognized it or not, but you are the hero of this podcast. It is actually dedicated 100%, not to me, not to our staff, but to you for your growth, your movement along summiting life's climb, and allowing us to be a guide, allowing us to be a Sherpa, which is where the name of my company name came from, to come alongside of you. Not make us the hero, but make you the hero. But here's what I know about you as a man, the type of man that tunes in to this podcast. At work, you want to take the next step. You want to look at what the next step is for you. How could you grow and how you could develop? Physically, you work to stay in shape. You want to get in shape. Maybe you're looking for a next challenge. Maybe you're a CrossFit guy. And by the way, how do you know somebody's a CrossFit guy? Oh, they'll tell you, right? It's kind of like being from Texas. You know, from Texas? Oh, they'll tell you they're from there. But physically, you want to take a challenge on. Even the direction in your life, you want to make the right moves. Relationally, single men, you want to get with the right person. You want to forge a good, strong relationship. Husbands, you want to do the right thing with your wife. You want to make the right moves. Dads, you want to be the right kind of dad to your kid. But the problem is that a lot of the time, we are faced with challenges, and we've talked about this in the past episodes, that hit our life, and we do not know what to do. The problem centered around hard knocks is that we frequently don't know what to do. At work, you're facing challenges with your team, with with maybe you're managing a large chunk of the company's revenue and you're facing headwinds. Sales are down. You've got things that are stressing you. Maybe your supply chain is wrecked and you're like, how do I make this number happen? How do I make this revenue happen when I'm facing these kind of challenges? Maybe you're facing issues with employees and you're in situations you're like, I am not geared to handle this. I don't know what to do. Physically, maybe you're facing a physical challenge. Maybe it's, that C word, cancer. Or maybe you're experiencing issues with anxiety or depression and you're just like, what do I do? In relationships, happens all the time. What do I do in this situation with my wife? How do I navigate this situation? The thing we talked about last week in episode 8, how do you navigate when it seems like our whole society is experiencing depression and anxiety and deep, deep things? How do you help your family lead through that? How do you help yourself lead through that? The reaction many times is we look for a model. We look for a model, and we find a lot of times that we simply don't have good models around us. Maybe we didn't grow up with a dad of the year who would walk us through this and was kind of this perfect coach who came alongside us and like, Rob, if you think about this, let's walk through this. Maybe you didn't have that. At a deeper level, maybe you do what Justin talked about a couple weeks ago, being fathered by YouTube. He was like, I did not have resources, but maybe you're going to books or social media, YouTube. You're looking for all kinds of different resources. You're listening to podcasts. You're doing all these different things, but you're like, what do I do? Maybe just make something up. Maybe you accept the hard knock of your life as the new norm. Think, well, this is just as good as it gets. Or maybe you just give up. Man, here's the thing I know about you. The thing I know that you aspire to internally is that you know that you want more out of your life than just what is going on. It is so easy for us in the middle of this kind of stuff to just kind of say, this is the new norm. And yet there's a voice inside of you that says, hey, there's more for you. I want to help you through this. Maybe that's the voice of God in your life, and you didn't even know that's who it was. Saying, I'm with you always. I'm never going to leave you. I've got more for you. But that thing that you aspire to, of wanting more, how do you get through the hardest knocks of life? I talk to you like this, just kind of straight on like a coach, because I've been through a lot of this stuff. A lot of the things we talk about are episodes from my own life. I shared one with you in the last episode about my mom's passing and just how I navigated that, and I'm still navigating it, by the way, right in the middle of it. But I get it. I live in the same world you do. I work in a business that has a lot of challenges to it, manage a team that has a lot of challenges to it, bringing people on, onboarding, working through employee things, all of those things. I live in that same kind of world, and I get it. So what do you do? What are some practical things, not just to wax eloquently and kind of lay out stories and all this kind of stuff, but what do you do? We're going to jump into some very practical next steps for after you understand that hard knock in your life has the opportunity to do something good. And after you understand that, man, you need to look around, get help from other people, reach in with other men who you're right around, and then look up. What do you do then? Here's the plan. When my mom, as I think about her life and the stories of us, she was the mom of 3 kids. My brother and I are like a year and a half apart, and then after me, for whatever reason, they waited 5 years to have another kid. I think it was because I was that special. They tell me it's because I was that difficult. I'm not sure, but there were 3 boys in this house. So it is raging, energy, testosterone, adrenaline all the time. And things would hit a fever pitch in my house. I mean, things would be breaking, stuff would be flying, people would be yelling, screaming, jumping off the house, not the house. Did we? I don't think we did. Jumping off the couch, all kinds of stuff. My mom would hit a point in an eruptive situation, and she would say this: I am sick and tired of you guys not listening. This was code for the next step was kind of the nuclear option of I'm going to get my butt spanked, right? This was back in the day. This was old school where the Board of Correction frequently informed the seat of knowledge. Got my attention, right? Not child abuse, by the way. It was just a good old-fashioned way to go. I'm in charge. But the signal word right before that happened was my mom saying, I am sick and tired. I am sick and tired. The point being, my mom hit this point in dealing with us, and I don't know how she did it, dealing with everything that was going on. And this was not even wait till dad got home kind of stuff. This was, she was dealing with it. She was hardcore. But her phrase, I am sick and tired, let us know that the current situation was about to change. For us, not for her. What we were doing, we weren't listening to her. We were doing whatever. It was about to change dramatically. It was going to take a hard right or hard left. I wonder for you, what circumstance in your life are you currently sick and tired of? What are you sick and tired of? Maybe let's talk about your physical shape. Maybe you are tired of being fat. That's offensive. I know. Maybe you're tired, not just of your weight, but of your blood pressure, of the things that you're struggling with a heart condition, things that are diabetes, things that are related to physical illness because of the condition you've allowed your body to get into. Are you sick and tired of it? Maybe you're sick and tired of something at work. You're tired of the career path you're in. You're tired of the dead end. You're tired of what's going on around you. Yeah, you might be. You might complain a lot, but are you sick and tired of it enough to do something about it? You don't have to accept things the way they are. Drop that passivity, man, and get sick and tired of it. I talk that way about this issue because I've experienced this. There's something in my life functioning years ago that I ended up at a point where I got sick and tired of it. I talked about recovering from alcohol. Well, I want to walk you through the sick and tired progress of that. I was sick and tired of coping with the hard knocks of my life by isolating. I was sick and tired of coping with the hard knocks of my life by medicating. Not just getting by myself, but by medicating with alcohol. I was sick and tired of escaping a situation and trying to numb something. I got sick and tired of waking up hungover and looking myself in the eye, in the mirror, and saying, man, what are you becoming? I was sick and tired of not being available for my kids emotionally for a couple years. I was sick and tired of being hungover. I was sick and tired of freezing, just like with that moose, and choosing to do nothing instead. Tired of freezing. Tired of being in that spot, and tired of doing nothing. That's my story. How about your story? I mean, in order to face the hard knocks of life, you've got to get sick and tired. Whether it's a relationship, it's a physical issue, it's a job issue, it's something around you. Drop your passivity, men. Stop walking where you're at. Stop freezing where you're at. Stop standing on the side of the lake of your life with your lure stuck on the bottom of the lake, worried about what's going to happen if you drop the rod, and waiting for the moose to freaking trample you. Get sick and tired. That's step number one. Before we take a look at the next step, we're going to take a little break and hear about a resource available to you that will help you dig deeper into this stuff. Maybe you're leaning into this podcast and you're like, hey, man, there's something here for me, but I wish I had more. I wish I had a resource. I want to let you hear about something that I think is a great resource that may be the thing that you need right now. Maybe not for you, maybe for someone else in your life. Listen to this, and then we'll be right back. All right, hey, welcome back. We're taking a look at when experiencing hard knocks in life, what do we do practically? Number one, get sick and tired of what's going on around you. Number two, get moving. Get things in motion. I mean, don't just, sit there, but do something. As Andy told me on the side of that lake, move, do something. Don't just stand there. We don't have to do the perfect thing. Maybe you get stuck in perfect. It's got to be perfect before I do anything. And you get stuck in the paralysis of analysis, right? Maybe you're in the middle of a job thing right now and you're like, man, I'm stuck in a bad job and not making any money. What should I do? Maybe I should rob a bank. Well, okay, you could try that, or just go all the way. Go for a casino. They usually have more cash. Just teasing, right? Don't do that, and don't say, well, Rob said it, and then slam me with a lawsuit. Maybe you're in the middle of a job thing right now, and you're like, just what do I do? Where do I go? There's a lot of things you can do to get moving. Maybe it doesn't require a PhD, 10 years in school, millions of dollars. But maybe there's just some easy get moving steps. For example, maybe seeking wise counsel around you. Maybe grabbing somebody older than you, as we talk a lot about around here. Getting moving by sitting down with an older man who's maybe in a career field you're in, or maybe something you're interested in. And just saying, you know what, let's talk about this. Maybe ask someone in your company to shadow them for a day, an afternoon, a lunch hour. Ask somebody out to lunch and just start to drill them with questions about your next step in your career and how you can get there, how they got there. Get moving by talking to your manager and going, hey, listen, what are the next steps for me? What are the things I can do? How can I be prepared? I had a guy who did that the other day at work with me. He came to me, and in my director role, he was just like, hey, listen, so how can I get to the next step? What do I need to do? And we had a great conversation. For me, as the manager, I knew that guy was somebody that wanted to move. He wanted to grow. Getting on somebody's radar gets the ball rolling. With a relationship issue, maybe it's connecting with a friend just to talk about what's going on. That's a great getting moving move, if that makes any sense. Maybe it's getting with a coach. Maybe it's shooting us an email and just saying, hey, the next stage at Sherpa5280.com. Hey, can we talk about this? Can we jump into a coaching relationship around this? Looking at the options is a great way to get moving. Looking at the options that are available is a great way to get moving. And I've heard the argument that, you can actually avoid a 4-year college education by listening to about 4 or 5 YouTube channels. They're free. They're out there. I would definitely advise to put the Next Stage podcast as probably your 5th YouTube channel you listen to. But, just getting moving. There's information is out there everywhere for you. The point is that information is not the problem. There's so much available. My encouragement for you is to just get moving. I had a conversation a few years ago with a friend of mine. His name is Bart. And we were talking about all the different things that I wanted to be involved in. Man, I used to do this, develop men and be in their lives as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher. And, I wasn't doing that anymore in my career. And we just started talking about all the things that were out there. And I'm like, Bart, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the right way to take is. I think I kind of had in my mind it had to be perfect. And he leaned back and he goes, dude, just pick one. Just get moving. That's step number 2. Step number 3, make a plan. For as long as I can remember, I wanted to be in the sphere of influencing people. And I did relief work. I was a pastor. I was a mentor. I coached people. I led a staff team. And I remember that for years and years and years after I was in my current employment in sales, I wanted to get back to that. And I had this attitude in my mind, again, that it had to be perfect. And I thought about writing a book, but I'm like, you know what? Gosh, unless it's perfect, it's no good. So it had to be perfect, and I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, and I wasn't, the world's greatest editor, and I didn't have a lot of money to market and that type of stuff. So I didn't do it because it wasn't going to be perfect. Then I thought, you know what? I'll put together a men's retreat. But I held off because it had to be perfect before we got it going. And then I thought about doing a podcast. And I held off because, again, I thought it had to be perfect. The reality is it didn't have to be perfect. My desire was to not be critiqued, really. So I did all 3. I eventually wrote the book. I eventually started a men's retreat. I eventually started the podcast. I eventually discovered, newsflash for me, that it didn't have to be perfect. But I did have to have a plan. And I did have to get moving, like we talked about in step 2. One of the things I found as far as making a plan goes is this. For you to make a plan, for you to step out, the best thing to do is to stand on the back of giants. By that, I mean this. With your plan, no matter what you're thinking about right now, that plan for work or a relationship or something physical or a relationship challenge or an emotional challenge, whatever it is that you're thinking about right now in your life, you don't have to come up with something that's never been thought of before. The thing I love about Gary Vee and on his all of his marketing stuff that he does is it's basically just, he says, hey, find somebody that is doing what you're doing and mimic them. Chances are they've put millions of dollars into what they're doing. They've test marketed this stuff. They've focus grouped all this kind of stuff. And so they're in it. They're doing it. Just do what they're doing. Be you, be authentically you, but for crying out loud, stand on the back of giants, of someone else who's done this before. So I encourage you, as you are making a plan, as you're getting moving, that you would take a look at what it is in your life. And I would love to hear about that. In fact, I would love to jump in with you, not to pitch coaching every time we get on this show, but man, there are resources available around you, and one of them is what we do. Email the next stage at Sherpa5280.com and just say, hey, I would love for you to coach me around this thing because I want to get moving and I want to make a plan. The book, Getting Even, Countering Life's Hard Knocks, it's exactly about walking through this kind of stuff. Grab it. It's cheap. Go on my website, Sherpa5280.com, grab the book, buy it, get it, read it. It's got almost like a journal in there that you can fill out that you can actually construct a plan and make a plan and get going. One of the simplest tools as far as application here goes is the very simple acronym of setting SMART goals. SMART is an acronym. It stands for be specific. What is it that you want to do exactly? Be measurable. How are you going to know when this is done? I'm going to measure this by losing 10 pounds, losing 20 pounds, earning another $1,000, starting this business. When do you know that that it's done? Measurable. Is it achievable is the next question. That's the A in SMART. Can this be done? If your goal is to grow to be 8 feet tall and you're currently, 5'10", well, that's probably not achievable. If your goal is to be a gazillionaire, okay, well, I don't even know what a gazillion is, number one. But how far out are we going? How far out are we achieving? In my business, I'm like, you know what? What is an achievable goal for this team? The R is relevant. Does it matter to the overall goal? Is it relevant? And lastly, T stands for time sensitive. Is it time sensitive? When will it be done? I want to have this. Here's the specific thing. Here's how it's measured. Here is achievable. Yes, it's relevant to the overall goal. And I want it to be done in 6 months. Great. We're going to break that down into time. Those are just 3 simple steps on how you can start to move through hard knocks. One of the stories, probably arguably the most famous stories of the rabbi, the teacher, Jesus. World-renowned story. It's the story of the prodigal son. The story of the prodigal son starts with a kid who had it all. Spoiled, rich, had everything. Took his portion of his inheritance early on from his dad and said, hey, give me half of your estate right now. I'm out. Took this money, took off. Went, partied. I'm sure. It had to be crazy hanging out with this guy with all this kind of money. The YOLO mentality, you only live once. This guy had dough. He was spending it. He partied. He did his life. And eventually, he ran out of money. And I imagine he wrote a letter home, said something like this: no mun, no fun, your son. To which his dad wrote back, too bad, so sad, your dad. Bad dad joke, I know, not funny, never happened in the story that Jesus told. But this guy runs out of money. He ends up working in a pig pen as a slave, feeding pigs, starving to death, looking at the scraps that the pigs were eating, and thought, you know what, that looks pretty good. But what did he do in the story? What did he do in the story? He did exactly what we're talking about here. He got sick and tired. He got sick and tired of his life sitting in this pig slop, feeding pigs, living with the pigs, fighting for the food that the pigs were eating, smelling literally like pig crap all the time, not having any good clothes. He started, I'm sure, to reject the identity that he had as a pig. And somewhere in his mind, he said, no more. No more smelling like this. No more not having any decent clothes to wear. No more being broke. No more of this identity of being a loser. And he got sick and tired. Next thing, he got moving. The movement actually started in his mind. The movement was in his mind and allowed him to adjust. Hey, listen, whoa. This isn't who I am. My dad is rich. I've really, really, really messed up here. But I think at one point, as he got moving, he got up out of this pig slop. The identity that he thought about in his mind, about how he was once a son of a wealthy landowner, and where he'd ended up, moved into his soul because he thought, you know what? Gosh, I need to repent of what I've done. I need to come straight with my dad. I need to apologize. And then he made a plan. He did all three of these things. He got sick and tired. He got moving, starting in his mind, moving into his soul, but eventually moving into his body and putting one foot in front of the other. And what was his plan? His plan was super simple. It was to simply go home, apologize to his dad, and ask for a job to work with his dad. That was it. It was the world's simplest plan. And that's what this guy did. He got up, he brushed off the pig crap around him, said sayonara to the pigs, and got up and started walking home. That was his plan. Of course, the story ends with he didn't get a job with his dad. He got way more. He got invited back in as a son. He got invited back in, not as a hired hand, but as a full-fledged son again. And a party was thrown for him. And the story is beautiful. You can read it for yourself. But I wonder for you, what hard knock are you experiencing right now in your life? This guy's was brought on by himself. Maybe the situation you find yourself in, that you brought it on all by yourself. You did it to yourself. Fine. Get sick and tired of where you're at. Get moving and make a plan and move forward. The results for you, man. The results for you could be life-changing and could, like the story of the prodigal son, open doors that you never thought would be open again. Those are the redemptive stories of life. Those are the redemptive stories of hard knocks that you live to tell about. The call to action for you today is very simple. You've heard them already. Get sick and tired. Get moving and make a plan. Stop being frozen where you're at. Stop being frozen on the lake shore of your life, not knowing what to do. Get moving. Get sick and tired. Get moving and make a plan. Man, the golden nugget that I would love to leave you with is this story. The story of the prodigal son is recorded in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. Read it. Meditate on it. Apply it to your life. Gosh, what wonderful doors might open up if I simply get sick and tired, get moving, and make a plan. I want to thank you for being part of the Next Stage, this podcast. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Episode 9, School of Hard Knocks 301. I want to thank you for being part of this. It's been meaningful for you. I encourage you, send us an email, thenextstage@sherpa5280.com. Pass this on to a friend. Maybe there's a guy in your life and you're like, wow, this had something here. I think this would be helpful. Pass it on. That's part of jumping in with somebody who's going through some tough stuff. Don't leave them there. I encourage you to be part of our next episode, episode 10, as we take a look at countering entitlement in your life. Join us for episode 10. Don't miss it. We'll see you then. Men, go be awesome in your world today.